Before delving into the specifics of their fight, I'll create rich backstories for both fighters to set the stage for their clash. Khabib Nurmagomedov. From the mountains of Dagestan to the UFC, Khabib's rise to prominence is a tale of discipline, culture, and an unyielding will. Born into a family with a wrestling tradition, Khabib's journey is more than about mixed martial arts. It's about embodying the values of respect, strength, and the weight of expectations placed upon him from a young age. Darrell, a fighter whose journey to the UFC wasn't as glamorous. Darrell's story is one of perseverance and grit. A true underdog. He steps into the octagon against one of the most feared fighters in the world. How did Horcher get here, and what makes him resilient in the face of adversity? The fight setup. Event and circumstances. UFC on Fox 19 was a memorable event with a main event featuring Rashad Evans vs. Glover Teixeira. But the night's spotlight was supposed to shine on Khabib Nurmagomedov, who had been out of action for more than 2 years due to injuries. The world was eagerly awaiting his return after the hype that surrounded his undefeated streak. Horcher's opportunity. Coming in as an underdog on short notice, Horcher accepted the fight with Khabib, knowing that this could be his big break in the UFC. Despite having no time to prepare for a fighter of Khabib's caliber, Darrell was determined not to be intimidated and embraced the challenge. The first round, the clash of styles. Khabib's dominance. Khabib's confidence was visible from the first second. Known for his unrelenting pressure and superior wrestling, Khabib came forward with a focused and calculated intensity. As the round began, he immediately took control with his striking, establishing range with short punches and hooks that began to wear on Horcher's defense. Horcher's defense. For Darrell Horcher, this fight was a baptism of fire. Having no time to prepare for Khabib's grappling-heavy approach, Horcher had to rely on his heart, toughness, and instinct. The first round saw him being pushed to the cage, where Khabib displayed his infamous clinch game, dominating the distance and landing heavy strikes, leaving Horcher with few opportunities to counter. The second round, the TKO finish. The decisive moment. As the second round unfolded, Khabib's pressure was relentless. He continued his suffocating style, landing devastating ground and pound as he took Horcher to the canvas. The underdog fighter did his best to defend, but Khabib's strikes were too precise, too powerful. A knee to the body, followed by an onslaught of punches, sealed the fate for Horcher. Horcher's resilience. In these moments, the crowd could sense Horcher's spirit. Though the fight was slipping away from him, Darrell's refusal to back down made him a warrior in his own right. His scrambling and attempts to defend against Khabib's ground and pound were commendable, but ultimately, the combination of strikes led to the TKO finish at 3:38 in the second round. Aftermath and reflection. Khabib's victory. This fight solidified Khabib's reputation as one of the most dominant forces in mixed martial arts. His undefeated streak continued, and the world took note that Khabib was back in action, ready to continue his climb to the top. But more than the victory, it was his performance, methodical, technical, and devastating. Horcher's resilience. For Horcher, this was a hard-fought loss, but one that showcased his tenacity. While he wasn't able to match Khabib's level on that night, his courage in taking the fight and stepping into the octagon against one of the best fighters in the world was an admirable feat in itself. The legacy of the fight. Khabib's continuing journey. From that night, Khabib would go on to become a UFC lightweight champion, defending his title multiple times against some of the toughest opponents in the world. This victory was just another step on his path to greatness. The fight with Horcher showcased his unique style and his dominance on the ground, further cementing his legacy as one of the greatest lightweights of all time. Horcher's career. Though Horcher didn't emerge victorious, his story didn't end there. He would go on to fight other opponents in the UFC, continuing to showcase his heart and will to compete. While his career may not have reached the heights of Khabib's, the fight with Khabib was a testament to his courage and dedication to the sport. Conclusion: a fight of opposites, a story of resilience. Khabib Nurmagomedov vs. Darrell Horcher was more than just a fight. It was a story of two different paths converging in the octagon. Khabib, the unstoppable force, and Horcher, the brave underdog who rose to the occasion against all odds. The result was inevitable, but the heart and determination of both men left a lasting impact on the sport and the fans.